Welcome to Evolution on the Mic. I am your host, Ariana de la Cruz.
And I'm your co-host, Antoine Dove.
And we are back, season 8, Faith in Others, episode 10. You're not meant to do this alone. In our last episode, y'all, we talked about how sometimes the very thing that you went through wasn't meant to break you. It was meant to build someone else's faith. If you or someone you know has ever found yourself asking, God, why me? Or why did I have to go through that? That episode was 100% for you. I highly recommend that you go back and watch that episode if you didn't already, as it was impactful and amazing conversation that me and Antoine had. So please watch it if you have not already. On today's episode, we're going to be discussing why faith in others isn't weakness, but it's the glue that holds the world together. We live in an age that glorifies independence and self-sufficiency. Yet the truth is, we're built for connection. God wired us to depend on him and to hold one another up. We'll dive into what it really means to have faith in others, why God destined us to need each other, and how our connection to others reflect his love. This is going to be an amazing episode. I'm so excited for it. But before we get into all of that, Anton, how you doing? I mean, I see that we're dressed in blue, but we're not feeling blue.
We're not feeling blue.
You know, we came on and I was like, oh, wow, we're like dressed the same in blue. Yeah, we did not plan this. So I'm already in a good mood just based on that. But how are you, Antoine? How's everything?
I'm great. Yeah, as usual. Like, I mean, it's business as usual for me. Like, life's good, living in a place of gratitude, being thankful for all the things God has going on in my life, and nothing really to complain about. I mean, we're getting to the holiday season though, which is some of my favorite time of the year. Is Thanksgiving right around the corner, Christmas coming. Like, this is the time where I feel like gratitude and thankfulness is just surrounding us and hugging all of us, and I'm grateful for this time of year. What about you? How's the holiday preparation for you?
I mean, just like the title, you're not meant to do this alone. Like, we're not meant to do anything alone. And I'm grateful that, at the end of the month, I'm going to be traveling. And in December, I'm going to be traveling to visit my family and for business. So I'm just grateful that, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, although I'm a single person, right? I'm never alone, and God always finds a way for me to have community no matter what. It's like I'm serving my purpose and doing everything he's asking of me, right, to fulfill the bigger picture purpose for my life. And in between, he always finds a way for me to still get out, for me to connect, for me to have fellowship. And so I love that. So I'm super excited for these last couple weeks of the year, right? These last less than 2 months now, and everything that God has for me in it, because I'm gonna be traveling quite a bit, and I'm gonna be used in a lot of ways, and I feel at peace about all of it, and I know that peace is because I'm in alignment and he's in it with me. So I'm just excited and have peace. So all is well. Thank the Lord.
Thank the Lord, for real. And I love that you were mentioning peace, because this month, like, we're still in November, and November, one of the big things that we talk about in November is men's mental health awareness. Like, November is that men's mental health awareness month. And being a man, right? Like, it makes me reflect on my own mental health and where I'm at. And I'll be the first to admit that I'm not always great with talking and speaking about my emotions. I'm better than I was in the past, but like, it's one of those things. Like, the age in which I grew up as men, it was kind of like you swallow your emotions and you just push through. And for a lot of that, I feel like it's had a huge impact on our belief in ourselves and not relying on other people. Like, I think it's good to believe in yourself, but also you have to know when there's a chance where you might need some extra support. And that support can be from a spouse, that support can be from a friend, that support can be from, your mom, your family, whatever. But I know growing up, I struggle with this. And even in my 20s and in my 30s, I still struggle. Even today, I still struggle with it at times. And so when I was thinking about this episode and it being that you're not meant to do this alone, it brought up a lot for me. And for those that are watching, have you ever felt like you could handle everything on your own? You might be one of those people. If you are, just kind of raise your hand. Or, yep, that's me. You might have been in that boat, or maybe you have felt like, um, or had the experience for someone that has actually shown up for you and have asked or done something to help you. That's a great feeling as well. And it's those moments, those reflections that I want everyone listening to really take from this episode, because it's important that we realize that we can't do this alone. We need that support. We need that backing, and God provides support in our spiritual sense. But there's also physical fellowship that, like Ariana was just talking about, like the fellowship coming up in this season. There's that fellowship piece that's also critical and important, and is a big factor when it comes to thinking about men's health. And so I wanted to share like my own personal experience, because for me, I think there's been a series of events over time that has helped me to become more open to receiving support and help from other people and being vulnerable. I think the first one, and I'll talk about this. So I am a fraternity guy. I did pledge a fraternity in college. And I think that was the first time where I learned that, going through my process and pledging, that I had to rely on other people in order to complete the process. And that was new for me, because I'm so used to, and I'm the type of person that if I want to do something, I'm going to do it on my own. I'm not going to ask, I'm not going to wait. I'm just going to do what I need to do. And that process taught me the importance of leaning on your fellow brothers. Going through the process, you had to understand what the your brothers, like what their strengths were, what their weaknesses were. You had to come together in unison and work as a unit. And to do that, you had to learn how to say, hey, I'm struggling with this, or you had to learn how to support someone else and also receive it. And I think for me, that was one of the most challenging parts during going through the process for me, because that's where I had to learn so much about myself and
Mm,
shift parts of me that I still was trying to hold on to. And that was what the process was trying to do, was trying to break down self and create unity amongst each other as brothers, like to become brothers. There was no individuality. We were one unit. And that experience to me was one of the things that was life changing for me, to kind of start me to think, hey, sometimes I might need some help. Sometimes I'm not going to be alone or being able to do it all myself. And
mm.
then a recent experience that I've had, as I think about now, fast forward to where I'm at now, and I'm not in college anymore. I'm living on my own. I typically tend to be, although I'm a social guy, I tend to kind of be to myself when it comes to doing things. Like I'm all about just kind of doing my own thing. And when I started working out about 2 years ago, I met a guy in the gym, randomly walked up to him. He was working out. He was a heavier set guy like me. And I was like, hey, man, do you mind if, we start working out? I'm looking for an accountability partner. He thought I was a complete whack job. He's like, who the heck comes up and just starts talking to some random person asking, can we be like accountability buddies? But thank God, like he was open to the idea. And he was like, yeah, man, like we can work out together. Fast forward, we've created such a great friendship together as brothers. And I've been to his house, he's been to my house. We have had swimming parties together with our daughters, because he has a daughter and his wife, and they just recently had another kid. But like we created this sense of bond. And I'll never forget, I was going through a tough time, right? My car, I needed to do some work on my car, and I didn't really have the money to go to the dealership to go pay, or a mechanic to get it paid. And so I was telling him about it, and he's like, man, we can figure that out. I was like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like, bring it over to my house. He's like, I like to work on cars. Like, bring it over. Let's work on it together. I'm like, do I really trust this guy? Like, I don't really know. Like, he could be screwing my car up. Like, everyone thinks they're a mechanic until they actually have to be a mechanic. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. I don't know about this. But something in my heart, because we had built that friendship and we had built that sense of fellowship, I was like, all right, cool. Like, let's try it out. He's like, here, go buy this part and show up to my house and we'll do it together. And lo and behold, we did it together and we fixed the car and we did get it back running again. It saved me hundreds of dollars because we were able to do it together. And what I realized through
Wow.
that process was, it wasn't so much about the money saved, even though I was completely grateful for that. It was two things. The first one was, I had to have faith and trust in believing that he was doing what was in my best interest. And I had to have faith and trust in believing that this path that God was taking me on was my destiny. That was what God was causing to happen. It wasn't about me, it was about the place and position that God had put me in. God had brought someone in my life who could start to build that bond with me so I wouldn't be in isolation, so I wouldn't be in my own world doing my own things, who can provide that sense of fellowship and support so that when I am
Mm.
having tough times, I had someone that I could talk to. I had someone that I can release and have those conversations with and not feel like I had to bear the burden of all of that myself. And in relinquishing all of that and having that faith and trust, it opened up an opportunity for me to build a beautiful friendship, which ultimately even had me doing some things like fixing my own car, which was really cool. And it was a great experience. And so, like, I share those stories because to me, I believe that as men, and I'd even say women, because it's not just a men thing. I think there are
Mhm.
definitely women out there who are in the same boat, very strong, very independent, can do their own thing. I don't need anyone, right? But the reality is that we all need someone at some point, and it starts with building those relationships, and then also it starts with breaking down some of our belief systems that we have about who we are and how other people can help and support us. And we'll get to this further in the show. But before I go on, Ari, I mean, what about you? I mean, you're a strong woman, Ari. Like you do your thing, right? I mean, do you ever have moments and
Mhm.
times where like you are just like it's hard for you to allow someone else to help you or to support you? And how what has that experience been like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think growing up, yes, very hard for me. Like, I just feel like I can figure things out on my own. As I mentioned, I use my resourcefulness as one of my main characteristics, right? I always
Mm-hmm.
say I'm very resourceful. So I always feel like I can figure it out. I can just Google it or, get a book, figure it out, and God got me. Like, I don't really gotta depend on anybody, right? That was more so me a lot growing up. As I allowed myself to be more vulnerable and I allowed myself to just allow God in and know that if he places someone in my life, I have to, like you did with that guy, like you knew there was a connection there. You went up to him, nothing you never
Mm-hmm.
done. And look at all these beautiful, amazing things that has transpired because of it. Like, not only did he help you with your car, which was amazing, but it was a friendship, right? A
Mm-hmm.
gym partner. He has a daughter, and you're able to now come together and have your daughter play with his daughter and like, just do things together. Like it's been for so many other reasons, right? So I think that no matter what, when God allows things to happen and when God is in the midst, right, it's always for a bigger purpose. So in
Mm-hmm.
my life now, right, I wasn't like this before, but now I realize that if God put somebody there, it's for a major reason. And I am going to allow help to come in. I'm going to allow people to lend a helping hand. I am going to receive if there is someone that is in a place where they're going to want to help me or give me some advice. I'm open, but this is something that I had to grow into, right? Through a lot of falls, through a lot of heartbreak, a lot of disappointment, a lot of frustration, trying to figure things out on my own and think I know best. And it's like, no, ultimately, I believe God knows best. And, he doesn't want us to go at it alone, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
about, he's wants us to have connection with others. And, anybody that God puts in my life, I'm like, did you put them there?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what purpose they're serving, but if you allowing them to be there is for a reason, and I'm going to flow with it. Right. So I just now flow with things and I just allow myself to be in a flow with everything in my life. So now I would say I'm more open to receiving help and getting it and being okay to ask for it. I think that now I'm okay with that. And I think when I wasn't in a place of asking for help or receiving help, it was also not wanting to be vulnerable or people looking at me like I might be less than or like not
Mm-hmm.
that intelligent.
Right.
Right. I struggled with not being smart my whole life. So I think once I started realizing that I am perfect the way I am and that every day I'm getting better and every day I'm learning and growing and I am amazing and I am smart and I am capable. I think knowing that first, like you were saying, knowing who you are,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't take away from me when somebody helps me, when somebody wants to give me some advice or they want to help me out with something in any area of my life, personally or professionally. I'm open. So, but it is a struggle. So I can relate to anybody that may be watching that is like, oh no, I don't like asking for help. I got to figure it out on my own. Like I've been there. And just, take a time to realize where that stems from for you, right? Is that stemming from because you don't want to look incompetent? You don't want to look maybe like you're not smart enough. You don't want to look weak, right? What is it for you that's causing you to not receive and be open to assistance, to some advice, to for a helping hand, because it stems from something that's, I wouldn't say is very positive, right? It might stem from maybe
Mm-hmm.
some traumas, some negative experiences we've had, some things people have said about us. So that's just my 2 cents. But if you can be open to digging into what that reason is and allow God into that space, you might find yourself open and finding so much freedom in opening yourself up to receive help and receive some assistance or helping hand or advice or whatever it might be for you. You might find freedom in that. And that doesn't mean you're less than. That doesn't mean you're not capable. That doesn't mean you're weak. That doesn't mean you're not
Mm-hmm.
smart. Doesn't mean any of that. God created us in pairs of twos for a reason. He didn't create you one. He created 2 hands, 2 eyes, two ears, two nostrils, 2 lips, right? Like, like up, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean, right? Everything he created in pairs. And, man and woman, pairs.
Right.
So I think that he meant for us to have and be in connection.
Yeah.
So, us cutting off that power, cutting off that tie and being like, I just got me, you're going to find yourself being burnt out, sad, depressed, lonely, frustrated, angry, right? You're going to have a lot of negative feelings and emotions towards yourself and others. But, once you open yourself up, that this is how God created me. He created us in pairs and he created us to be a helping hand to others, have others be a helping hand to us. And that's how we grow, evolve, and become better stewards in this lifetime. So
I love that.
hope that answers the question.
Oh man, you nailed it. And I love about you encouraging us all to reflect on what is
Yeah.
the reason behind us wanting to put up that wall or to feel like we can do it all. I mean, like we said in the title, it's you aren't supposed to, or like we're not created to do it alone. Can you do it alone? Absolutely. Like you absolutely can, but that may not be what God is calling you to do. Like that's not how he's created us. Even like you were saying in the beginning, like he made Adam, right? But then he's like, you need a companion. You need a companion. I'm going to bring you Eve. And so he brought Eve
Yeah.
into the garden. So it was always two, always two. And, in today's world, as I think about the world we live in, right, there's there's a lot of time of like online connections, but there's not a lot of there's a lot of real life loneliness. Like we hide behind screens. Like I can connect with someone through a screen, but it doesn't mean it's not the same as when you're connecting
Mm-hmm.
with someone in the physical, when you're sitting face to face across from someone else. And it doesn't even have to be romantically. It can just be from platonic reasons, just as friends.
Yeah.
Like that fellowship is needed. It was created for that. That's why the church exists, is for fellowship. Like we're there to fellowship together and to grow together. And when we talk about community, God's antidote to the loneliness epidemic is all about community and bringing each other together. And that's the one thing we'll push back. And I'll say, like, even from my own experience, for me, there's a sense of relief, or I can feel like I can breathe when I have someone in my corner that I know I can depend on, or when I know that if I need to go to someone to get their opinion or get their advice, there's someone there. Versus when you're in it alone, there's anxiety, there's stress, there's anger, there's frustration, there's a lot of I don't know, worry, fear, all of those negative emotions come. But if you have someone or you've allowed yourself to bring someone into your circle who can be a sounding board or who can be
Mm-hmm.
a friend to lean on, I don't know about you, but for me, I feel like I can breathe easier. I feel like I can just relax a little bit because I know that I have someone that's,
Yeah.
beside me and by my side.